If you are looking to start a career in project management, there are 3 things that you must know before you start looking for any opportunity. Stay with me, I'm Rogério Manso, and I'm gonna help you start projecting now. Project management is a great career choice with many opportunities. Like any other professional, it's not something that you can just start working with no preparation, with no strategy. Starting working in project management, it's challenging, but it's rewarding. It's a career that is high in demand in the job market. In this video, I'm gonna show you 3 steps to follow before starting your career in project management so you can get your job quickly. The first step is you need to find out about careers in project management. There are many options. You can start working as a project manager, as a control officer, as a director, as a system analyst. There are many possibilities that you can work in project management situations. It's important that you understand these careers and these roles because each one have different requirements, have different knowledge, and have different skills that you need to develop. The second step is that you need to understand the main skills to work in project management. There are some skills, hard and soft skills, that are common that you need to develop. Doesn't matter in which career in project management you're gonna work. And third step, you need to understand, you need to know what is the work, what's a project manager do. Why it's important? Because you need to understand where you're gonna act, where you're gonna help a project manager, or even you're gonna be a project manager in your project. And you need to understand what are the main responsibilities of a project manager. To find out about careers in project management, there are some strategies. If you are starting your career, I suggest you to look for opportunities as a project control officer or PCO. A project control officer is a professional that have great knowledge of the fundamentals of project management. Also, it's a professional that master some or a project management tool like Project or any other tool that you use it like Trello or Jira. A PCO is responsible for monitoring or controlling activities in cooperation with the project manager. I would say that the PCO is the left hand of the project manager. As a project manager, I've been working with many PCOs, and I would say they really help me delivering my project. They help to do some administrative activities that allow me to keep focus on the management of the customers, the users, and the other teams. A PCO is someone that you don't need to have a large experience working in managing projects, but it's very important that you understand the fundamentals of project management because you're going to work with the project manager. If you're looking for start a career as a PCO, I'm going to give you 5 tips to start working. The first tip is you need to research the different opportunities available as a project control officer. There are different types of PCOs. You need to understand the requirements, the exigencies, and the experience that is required for each one of these job options. The second tip is look for opportunities that require a minimal, if any, amount of experience in project management. If you are starting a career, I am assuming that you don't have a large experience, and this is not a showstopper in your process. You can start working as a PCO even if you don't have any prior experience. But you need to understand the requirements, the knowledge, and which way you're going to help the project manager in their project. Another tip is you need to identify the gaps related to the requirements. What you need to learn is to improve the answer about 80% of the job requirements. Even if you don't answer all requirements, but you can respond to the majority, about 80% of all requirements, you can apply for this opportunity. Normally, the experience is one of these requirements, but there are many others that you can develop. You can have some experience or knowledge that you can qualify to this position. Another tip is be prepared to be interviewed and demonstrate your skills. This point is a huge problem for those that don't have any prior experience. I'm assuming that you are starting a job and you never did an interview, never passed in an interview, job interview before. You need to prepare for this interview. You need to know what are the questions the person will ask you, and more important, you need to be prepared with good answers. You need to adapt your knowledge. You need to adapt your experience to answer these questions. It's very important. I know a lot of friends that lose opportunities even if they are qualified for this position because in the interview they did not answer correctly. I did this mistake many times in my career. I lost some opportunities because I was not prepared for the interview, and when I was face to face with the recruiter, I was not ready to answer the questions. I was not prepared to answer the questions, and this was the reason I did not get this job. So be prepared to pass an interview. Another tip is never give up. Start a career, it's like a marathon. It's not a sprint. For sure, you will not get your first job in your first interview. Sorry, you can, but it will be an exception, a miracle. Normally, you're gonna have to try many times to get your first job. You need to pass many interviews. You need to apply for many positions. This doesn't make you to give up. Let me give you an example. When I started my career here in Canada, when I arrived to get my first job, I had to send hundreds of resumes. I applied for 100 positions. I did dozens and dozens interviews until I get my first job. Remember, you will only get one positive answer. Only one person will tell you that they want you to work with to get this job. All the others will say, no, you are not qualified, you're not ready, you're not the profile that we are looking for. But this should not demotivate you. This is the process. you need to keep going. You need to keep applying, submitting your resume, applying for new positions, learning with your mistakes, learning with this experience. It's very important that at the end of each submission, each new interview, that you think about what you did wrong, what you did right, and try to learn with this process. This is very important. Let me talk about the skills you need to work in project management. Basically, you have two kinds of skills: hard skills and soft skills. The hard skills is related to certifications, formation, techniques, and so on. And the soft skills, it's your behavior, the way you do the things. In project management, in terms of the hard skills, you must have knowledge about project management techniques. In this case, I'm talking about understand the difference between a traditional project management, an agile project management, and hybrid project management, and any other technique or strategy to deliver a project. You need to know these techniques to adapt your approach when you go to work in this project. Another skill is you need to know about project planning and scheduling. This is the basic information, the basic knowledge that you need to develop, basic skills that you need to develop to manage a project. A project is based in a plan, and a plan is based in a schedule. Doesn't matter which approach you're going to use, traditional, agile, hybrid, doesn't matter. You need to develop a plan. You need to have a schedule. And this is important that to have these skills, this ability to create a plan and to create a schedule. You need to develop ability to monitor and control a project. Hey, Rogerio, I'm working a project that I don't need to control and monitor. I don't believe. Every project, doesn't matter which kind of project you're gonna work, you need some type of control and monitor. Why you need to monitor and control a project? Because you need to know if you achieve your objective. You need to know if you did your finish your activity, you finish your product, you finish your service. You need to know if your team are working as expected. You need to know if your resources are enough to finish your project. So you need to control and monitor a project. Doesn't matter what kind of project you're gonna work. Another very important skills is learning about a project management tool. You don't need to be a master in all tools, but you need to master at least one tool. You need to be good working in one tool in project management. Maybe you will not be, you're not fit for a specific position because you don't have knowledge about a specific tool. But probably if you master one tool in project management, it will be very easy to learn another tool because all the tools have the same strategy, the same, I would say, way of the thinking in project management. It's important that you study, you practice, and you exercise some project management tool. What's the best tool? That depends. It depends on kind of project you're gonna work. For example, if you're working in a traditional, in a project in a traditional way, maybe you need to find a software like MS Project or I don't know, SAP or something. If you're working in Agile, maybe you can use Kanban, Trello, or Jira. This doesn't matter. Try to learn one tool, and then you're going to adapt your knowledge to your environment. And it will be much more easier to learn another tool once you master one tool very well. Finally, you need to learn about financial and economic. In a project, again, doesn't matter which kind of project you're going to work, you need to manage the budget. You need to pay attention in the cost of your project. You need to understand the value, the financial value of your project. This will help you justify your project. You need to understand how to identify CapEx and OpEx expenses, for example. So this is important that you have knowledge about economic and financial skills. When it comes to softer skills, you need to think about ability to think critically. Developing a project is something new. You need to, you're gonna work in something that had never been done before. So you need to think critically. I am doing the right thing. I'm doing the best thing. I'm doing with a good performance. Can I do differently? So you need always be asking these kind of questions in order to improve your performance, your project performance, and your team's performance. Another very important point is to develop ability to problem solve. Rogério, why I need to have a skill to problem solving? Because you're gonna solve a problem. A project is created to solve a problem, to answer to a requirement from your customer. You need to think about how to solve a problem. And other than the project, you're gonna work with your team, and you need to know how to solve problems with your team. So it's very important that you have ability to manage a moment when you're gonna be facing a problem. Another very important skill is to have creativity. Creativity is for you and for your team. You need to always think critically and be creative in your actions. You need always to say, can I do different to improve my performance? Can I do better to get more value in my activity? So it's important that you always think differently and use your creativity to improve your project. Another very important skill is have a strong communication and interpersonal skill. I think that I don't need to explain much why do you need to be a good communicator and have good interpersonal skills. Project management means work in a team, work with people, work with customers, work with users, work with providers. You'll be always interacting with people. You need to have a strong communication. You need to know how to say things. You need to learn how to listen people. How a good communication is start listening. You need to be a good listener, and you need to be a good communicator to be a good project manager. And finally, you need to develop ability to work as a team. You will never be successful in project management if you don't have your team working with you together. This is the principle of a good project manager, is to not only be able to work as a team, but make the others, the team, also to work together. You need to motivate people. You need to help them to be, in a community, in a team. So these are the skills that you must develop if you want to be a successful professional in project management. Now let's talk about what is the work of a project manager. The work of project manager depends of the kind of project you're gonna work, depends of the industry that you're gonna work, depends of the company you're gonna work, and depends on how you work as a project manager. But project managers, in general, they are responsible for ensuring that the project is completed successfully. In this definition, I would highlight the word successfully. What means a project delivered successfully? As a project manager, you need to define what will be the success of your project. What is really the requirement, what your customer, your sponsor, where is the value of your project? And this is the success of your project. Some times ago, they said that a successful project is when you deliver it on time and on budget. It's correct. You need to deliver your project on time and on budget. But it's not only on time and on budget. You need to answer to solve a problem for your customer, for your user. If you deliver something on time and on budget, but that does not solve the problem, that does not add value to your customer, can you say that your project was successful? I don't think so. Success means delivering value, perceived value to your customer, your user, your sponsor. They need to understand that what they are getting, it's more than they expected. And this is your responsibility to bring value to your project, to bring value to your customer and to your sponsor and users. The project manager is responsible to oversee the planning, the execution, and the monitor of the project. It's a resource, it's a professional that it's always reviewing the plan, reviewing the execution, and always monitoring and controlling the activities. The project manager is responsible for the project success, and a project is based in a plan. You need to always work based in your plan and monitor that you're going to deliver what you need, what you did in your plan. Another responsibility of the project manager is to facilitating, to manage, to solve problems, and to translate business needs to activities, to actionable plans for teams. It's your responsibility to communicate, to interview your customer, your user, to understand their needs and transform this information in a plan, in a task, in activity. Of course, you're not gonna do this alone. You need help from your team. Your team will work with you to solve this problem, to translate this requirement in a plan, in something that could be deliverable using the resources that you have. A project manager needs to be able to manage resources effectively, and they need to be able to stay organized. This is very important. As a project manager, you need to manage your resources to deliver what needs to be delivered in the best way as possible. This is what means managing resources effectively. And you need to manage your team to stay organized. You cannot let everyone work in any way, going to any direction and doing anything they want. You need to organize your group. You need to leader, put the direction in your group, in your team, to keep focus on the project objective. And they need to understand they have a responsibility in this project based on their role. You need to keep them organized, but at the same time, you must let them make some decisions, be autonomous in the certain level, so they can have liberty to work. It's very important that you balance this process to monitor, control, and manage your team. I would like to share with you some good practices that are adopted by graded project managers. One, and for me, one of the most important is that you need to stop, if you do this, to stop micromanaging. What means micromanaging? Micromanaging is the person that every single day, every minute, every hour, they comes to you and say, hey, what are you doing? How it's going? This is something that is really disturbing people. People don't like to be, to have someone all the time behind their head to say, what are you doing? To managing their job. You need to trust in your team. This is important. If you give trust, you're gonna get trust back. And this is how to really get a good management, a good relationship with your team. Micromanaging is not really a good practice, to adopt in management of projects. Second point, it's very important that you set your priorities. In a project, as I said, that you need to deliver value. It's very important that you put some priorities in your activities. What are the activities? What are the deliverables? What is the priority in this project? What I need to do first? What I need to deliver first? What problem I need to solve first? Always try to put priorities in your project. Could be in your deliverables, could be in your problems, could be in your risks, could be in your activities. Every time, try to set your priorities to keep your team organized and addressing the most important points in your project. Keep a clear schedule. This is another big point, and it's a big mistake that many project managers do. They have a very confused schedule. They have a very difficult sequence of activities, agendas, and everything that cannot match. People that have a meeting every day, two times a day, and they need to redo some activities. So it's not easy to manage this. A clear schedule means that you need, when you set your priorities, you're gonna define what needs to be done first and organize your agenda, organize your schedule based on this. About your project, you also need to have a clear schedule. When you're going to deliver something, when an activity needs to be ready to start another activity. When you put these points in a timeline, you can see your project, you can see how your project are evaluated. And this is very important. People like to know when they need to work, when they will get some result, when they will get some product. One question that you're gonna always have is when this will be ready, when I will get this thing, when I need to start this activity. So this question when is based on your schedule. And you need to have a clear schedule. You need to understand when things will happen. This is very important. Which, by consequence, means that you need to be organized. If you set your priorities, if you make a good timeline, you organize your agenda, these result in your organization, having a good organization. You need to be organized because your team, your project needs to follow a sequence of activities in order to achieve your goal. A project is not something that you're gonna work in a ad hoc way. You need to work in a sequence, in a defined logical way to finish your project. And this it's something that you need to be organized to do this. You need to understand priorities. You need to define when you're gonna see you're gonna need something. You're gonna do something, and this organization needs to be extended to your team. You need also to keep your team organized. You need to keep your customers, your user organized in relation to your project. It's very important. Another very important point, you need to understand psychology. Yes, my friend. Yes, you need to understand psychology. I told you project management is something that is related to work with people. Okay? Work with people means that you need to understand, have a minimum understand about psychology. It's not every day that your team will be very motivated. It's not every day that your team will be ready to work. It's not every day that you're gonna have your team in a good mood. You will always face problems with people, and could be because people are not understanding what they need to do, because they are not motivated, because they have a personal problem. You need to understand this. Sometimes the company, the situation that your project it's placed, it's not a very good. It's under pressure. Your team is under pressure. So you need to understand how to deal with this situation, how to work under pressure, how to motivate people. And everything is related to have a good psychology in terms of managing and working with people. Another point is based on this is to develop problem-solving skills. I told you that one of the very important soft skills is to have a problem-solving. Problem-solving skill is something that you can learn. Pay attention. You can learn how to solve a problem. There are techniques that could help you to solve problems. There are techniques that could help you to classify a problem and how to address this problem. You need to learn how to classify a problem, how to address a problem, and how to identify a problem. This is very important. This is something that you need to keep learning and improving all the time. Improve your leadership skills. This is the last practice that I will recommend you. Leadership also is something that you can learn. People usually say, I cannot learn leadership. Yes, you can learn leadership, but you need to practice. Leadership is something that you can learn, but really to have to develop this ability, you need to practice. You need to understand what means leadership. You need to learn about good practice of good leadership, and you need to practice this leadership. And doing this, you will be a successful professional in project management. And this is what I wish you. Have good projects and be a good professional.